Predicting every NFC team's record. Let's go. First, let's start off with the NFC North. At last in the division, I have the Chicago Bears going 7-10. Now, the Bears have been pretty busy this offseason, bringing in Caleb Williams, the best quarterback in the draft. They also drafted wide receiver Rome Odunze, and they also brought in Keenan Allen. Not to mention, they've worked a little bit on their defense, such as extending Jalen Johnson to 4 years and bringing in Kevin Byard. On to their schedule. I believe they are going to lose to good teams like the Texans and Niners, but I do have them splitting with Detroit. Even with their bad record that I have them getting this year, there is still a bright future in Chicago. Next up is the Vikings at third place in the division, and I have them going 8-9. Just like the Bears, they also lose to the Texans and Niners, but they also get swept by Detroit. But, however, they win against the Rams and the Jets. Now, I do believe Justin Jefferson will get his contract extension, or at least a franchise tag. I don't know if that's a smart idea, though, but I think he will come back, and J.J. McCarthy and Justin Jefferson will become the dynamic duo in Minnesota. And let's not forget their offseason moves. Like I said, they drafted J.J. McCarthy at pick number 9. They also brought in linebacker Dallas Turner. They also worked on their defense a lot more. They brought in Andrew Van Ginkel from Miami. They also brought in Shaq Griffin. It may not be their year, but there are some high hopes for Minnesota this season. Second in the North is the Green Bay Packers, and they go 10-7. Now, the Packers have made a lot of moves, but two of the biggest moves that they made this offseason was signing running back Josh Jacobs and bringing in Xavier McKinney. Now let's talk about their schedule. They lose to the Eagles and Dolphins, but they do split with the Lions, 1-1 apiece. This will definitely be another good year for Jordan Love. I believe that he will put up MVP numbers. First place in the division, I have the Detroit Lions winning 13 games, and they will be the 1 seed in the NFC. Now, the Lions have done a lot this offseason. They brought in Jared Goff for another 4 years. They brought in Terrion Arnold and Ennis Rakestraw, two of the best corners in the draft. They also signed DJ Reader, and they re-signed Amon-Ra St. Brown and Penei Sewell. Now, I see the Lions winning against the Texans and the Niners, and I believe that they will sweep the Vikings. Also, I see Jameson Williams having a career year. He is going to go back to being a really good receiver. Next, let's go to the NFC South. In fourth place in the NFC South, I have the Carolina Panthers going 5-12. They brought in players such as Xavier Legette, Jatavion Sanders, and Jonathan Brooks. Not to mention, on the defense, they brought in Jadeveon Clowney, Josie Jewell, and they brought back Derek Brown for 4 more years. They will lose to teams that are good, such as the Eagles and Chiefs, but will win against the new and improved Commanders and the Cardinals. Although they missed the playoffs this year, I see Bryce Young improving greatly. Third place in the division, I have the Saints going 7-10. In the offseason, they re-signed Tyrann Mathieu. They also re-signed Jonathan Abram, and they drafted Kool-Aid McKinstry to help them out with their defense. Also, they drafted Telis Fuaga. Now, I do have the Saints losing to teams like the Packers and Rams, but they win against good teams like the Browns and Bucks. I do think Derek Carr will have a better year than last year, and Chris Olave will have a Pro Bowl type season. Second in the division, I have the Falcons going 8-9. In the offseason, the Falcons signed Kirk Cousins. They brought in wide receiver Darnell Mooney. They also drafted Michael Penix. And they brought in Ru Kurohoro, Braylon Trice to help out their defense. After his injury, I do see Kirk Cousins having a pretty good season, and Drake London will have the best season of his career. I have them winning a game against the Saints, and I have them losing to good teams like the Eagles and Chiefs. And last off, winning the division at 9-8 is the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Even though their record isn't too good, I do have them winning against teams like the Eagles. In the offseason, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers extended Baker Mayfield, and they brought back Mike Evans. They also signed Jordan Whitehead to their defense and brought back Levante David. I still do think Mike Evans will have a pretty good year, and he's going to hit 1,000 yards again, just like he has every year of his career. Next, on to the NFC East. At 4th in the division, I have the New York Giants going 2-15, the worst in the league. A couple of their main offseason moves were picking up linebacker Brian Burns from the Panthers and drafting LSU wide receiver Malik Nabers. Now, I don't really have that many good things about the Giants upcoming this year. I have them winning against, the Seahawks, but this year is going to be pretty bad for them, and they're definitely going to be looking at one of the quarterbacks for the 2025 draft. 3rd place, I have the Washington Commanders going 8-9. The Commanders did a lot in the offseason, such as bringing in Heisman winner Jaden Daniels. They also brought in Bobby Wagner, Jeremy Chin, Zach Ertz, Luke McCaffrey. They've done a lot this offseason. I do have the Commanders winning a game against Dallas, but I have them losing to teams like the Ravens and the Bengals. And this season, there will be talk of Jaden Daniels winning Offensive Rookie of the Year. In 2nd place, I have the Dallas Cowboys going 8-9. There's not that many offseason moves from the Cowboys, but they did draft guard Tyler Guyton. They also brought in Marshawn Nealon in the 2nd round of the draft, and they signed Zeke. I do have Dallas splitting with the Eagles, and they get surprise wins against the Ravens and Texans. Although things look rough in Dallas this upcoming year, CeeDee Lamb will have another great season. And first in the division is the Philadelphia Eagles at 12-5. The Eagles did a lot this offseason by bringing back CJ Gardner-Johnson. They brought in Saquon. They also, in the draft, grabbed Cooper DeJean and Quinyon Mitchell. However, I do have the Eagles losing to the Bucs and the Ravens, but I do have them winning against the Rams and the Packers. This upcoming season, I see Jalen Hurts having a bounce-back year. And lastly, we have the NFC West. At last in the division, I have the Arizona Cardinals going 7-10. The Cardinals didn't have that many offseason pickups, but they did pick up MHJ and Darius Robinson in the draft. The Cardinals do lose to Detroit and Buffalo, but I see them pulling out wins against the Niners and the Jets. I do think Kyler and MHJ will become a dynamic duo in Arizona. Next, the Seahawks go 3rd in the NFC West at 10-7. Again, not that many offseason moves, but they did draft Byron Murphy II. The Seahawks split with the Niners and Rams, but I have them winning games against the Lions and Jets. Unfortunately, Geno Smith will decline this year, but there will be some high hopes for their defense. I have them being top 10 in the league. Next, in 2nd place, I have the Los Angeles Rams going 10-7. A few good players that they picked up were Jared Verse, Braden Fisk, and Blake Corum, all in the draft. I see them pulling out wins against the Bills and Dolphins, but they split with the Cardinals and lose to the Lions. One thing is for certain, though. Cooper and Puka become a dynamic duo in Los Angeles. One of the best wide receiver duos in the league. And lastly, at first place in the division, I have the San Francisco 49ers going 12-5. Some off-season moves they made. They picked up corner Rock Ya-Sin. They also picked up Leonard Floyd. And they drafted wide receiver Ricky Pearsall. I have the Niners losing to the Chiefs again. And they also lose to the Lions. But they win against the Dolphins and Buccaneers. Now, does Brock Purdy still do good? Yes, he does. I think he will have another great season. And Christian McCaffrey will also still be a top running back in the league. Here are the standings that I think will be set for the playoffs. Guys, that does it for the NFC predictions. Now, I want to hear from you guys. What do you guys think about this? Do you guys agree with my takes? Do you guys disagree with my hot takes? What do you think? I want to hear. Comment down below. And thank you guys for watching.